Welcome back, everyone. This is SGCW with another Wings of Liberty cast. Today we are going to have some unknown players, but they are both very, very high skilled. One is, in fact, I believe, right around 50 GM on the NA ladder, and the other is extremely high amount of points in his current Masters division. So it should be a pretty good matchup. But yeah, we're gonna hop into the game. We do have a TVP on Entombed Valley, and spawning in the bottom left position, it's gonna be Hardwell, our red Terran player. And in the top left spawning position, it is going to be Ourk, our blue Protoss player. The map is Entombed Valley, and this does lead for some nice macro-oriented play. As we can see, these second and third bases are very close to the naturals, and this is kind of preferable for a caster, at least. I do enjoy casting more macro-oriented games. It's nice to see some cheesy, interesting strategies come out early game, but for the most part, it's really nice to just see how people handle long-term situations. You just don't get to see too much of the late game anymore, I feel. Unless it's usually like a ZVP matchup, and then you just have Protosses complaining about Broodlord Infestor, and, well, that's no fun for anyone. Anyways, what are we going to look to see coming out of both of these players? More than likely, we are going to see a fairly mirrored build set in the production tab. Typically, Gateway, Barracks, and then it's usually followed up by a Cybernetics core from the Protoss player. Typically like a 13-14 gas, just kind of depends on your style. But in fact, we do see a double racks, one proxied over in the third location. This is a great little location because more than likely you are not going to be checking over there. You have really no reason to. You would check maybe in the natural, but there's really no reason to ever head over to the third unless he does try to hide the probe, possibly for a proxy pylon. But I would be pretty surprised if that happened. Double gas going down for Ourk, and this is before Cybernetics core, so quite interesting. He's really going to be going into some heavy gas play, and this makes me think that he might be opening some sort of Stargate pressure, just due to how much gas he will in fact be pulling fairly quickly. We do see a wall off already down before the Protoss probe will get in. He is not going to be privy to what is going on. More than likely going to see some pretty early aggression, as this would be standard just to see 2, maybe 3 Marines by the time you got to the base, but he is not aware of these other 2 Marines, and that's going to mean more than likely Hardwell, our Terran player, is going to put on some very early pressure. I would not be surprised if he tried to get some sort of a bunker down. We do see these 2 players kind of dancing each other around. Still no gas, which is fairly surprising. It's kind of late in the game for a no gas situation. And now this Stalker will pick off that poor SCV. Does look like he's just going to go try and secure the Xel'Naga Watchtower, and maybe even put on a tiny little bit of a pressure just to make sure that this Nexus can in fact go up without being disturbed. But he will be quite surprised to find that there is in fact 9 Marines already out, with more on the way, and this is going to be an extremely strong push if Hardwell chooses. And it does look like he is in fact bringing 3 SCVs down. I'm not sure if he's just going to plan a bunker, maybe start building a CC as well, but no, he does have the CC going down in his main, so there's really no reason for this unless, yes, he is going to be going for a bunker rush, and this is very awesome. Utilizing this back pathway on this map, not something that you see a terrible amount, and as we can see, the Xel'Naga vision does not include that pathway. This is going to be a heck of a lot of pressure, and I am not certain that Hardwell will be able to even hold this off. It does look like, in fact, he is going to just go into his main force field off, and very nice play so far. He is going to need to keep force fielding, though, and not lose any of these. Oh, phew. So close on losing that sentry there, and that would have been not a good situation to be in as this Protoss player. We do see this Nexus will fall. And with the CC and Orbital on the way, our Terran player is going to be sitting in quite a good position. 3 racks, as he did move the racks from the low ground, so he will be economically ahead and tied in production facilities. We do see a Robo going down as well. This poor Nexus didn't stand a chance. Now with these Marines in the bunker and a 3rd bunker going down, this is going to be such a hard position to break. Even if he keeps warping in Zealots, even if he gets out in Immortal, which he needs to do fairly soon, as we can see, he's pulling quite a lot of minerals. Would like to see this Marine get utilized a little bit. Maybe some of these forces. I feel like he could possibly just push up and do a ton of damage. But oh no, these Marines were caught outside of the bunkers, trying to be greedy and miss-microed by the Terran player. Great force fields going down though. Still saves all of those. And with this Immortal out, these bunkers are going to fall extremely fast. Would love to see this SCV be pulled up here, and no, in fact he is not going to be. And he did not even eject those units to the back bunker, so this is going to be cleaned up pretty quickly. But as noted, the CC is already down, and that means if we take a look at the unit supply, yes, he is behind on workers, but he has 2 mules, so it really does not matter. And as we can see, fairly even on the army supply as well. But it is important to note that his base is up. So he is able to produce SCVs at double the rate of the Protoss player, which means this mineral line will be saturated quite quickly. We do see Sim on the way as well as a starport. And that poor sacrificial stalker getting killed so quickly. And the Protoss player does realize he needs to probably pull back. Would like to see some bunkers go down just to be safe, because you never know. A situation like this, when a Protoss player is feeling behind like ourk, I'm sure is to a certain extent right now, they can just sort of opt in for the extreme all-in, maybe go 5-gate Robo, and just all of a sudden flood units. Yes, he has this Nexus down, but if you put on a ton of pressure and you can equalize the economy and army size with some damage, that would be preferred. Scouting factory, as mech is still pretty much non-existent in this matchup, which is quite sad. I feel Immortals are just a little too strong versus armored units. As we can see, they do 50 damage without +1. That's a lot of hit points lost very quickly. Combat shields and concussive shells on the way, +1 as well. Twilight Council also coming down. Medvacs finally coming out, and we do see a push coming out of our Terran player. He has now picked up on this, but plenty of force fields here, and you do not want to get your army force fielded in half. That is a terrible spot to be in, because then after they are done taking apart the first half, they just move right into the second half, and well, a lot of times with a counter push that can be a quick GG. Double drop coming down in the main though. Looking to do some economic damage here. Have to keep an eye on these 2 medvacs. And he is within the range of the vision, so not a lot of probes being pulled here. Great engagement coming down though, focusing down that Immortal, and also an engagement coming down in the natural. I'm going to try and focus on both at one time, but if he kites these Zealots away, he should be able to do quite a bit of damage. The main is being cleaned up slowly, but with all of his kiting, and even with the pickup from the medvacs, he does do quite a bit of damage. If we take a look at the units lost tab, 8 workers killed so far. Not too bad. And as we can see, most of the workers killed by Orc were in that initial engagement where the SCVs were in fact killed while making the bunkers. Another huge bioforce being pushed out. Zealot legs on the way, as well as +1 armor. Ghost Academy, very, very cool. Not something we get to see every day. Two more racks. More medvacs. Excuse me, 3 more racks. +1 armor coming down as well as Mobius reactors, so these ghosts will in fact have a ton of energy by the time an engagement happens for plenty of EMPs. Does look like we're going to see a triple drop loaded up into the main again. 3 more gateways coming down. And Zealot legs have in fact finished. +1 armor being chronoed out. This medvac just waiting to pounce. Would love to see it just drop like right here, just to pick off the probes on gas. A little bit of engagement coming up to the 3rd. Bouncing back and forth. But Hardwell does realize intelligently that he is not going to be able to cost effectively engage this army and should just pull away. We do see a 3rd CC floating over, as well as a Nexus being placed down for Orc. Terran player is pulling ahead just a tad bit in supply, but we will more than likely, with these other warp gates kicking in, see Orc equalize that pretty quickly. Combat shields, very, very, very good upgrade. Very important. If you are a Terran player who is not doing that, you are doing it wrong. Storm coming down, as well as some High Templar. +2 armor on the way as well for our Protoss player. Not sure I like the choice of this being a planetary fortress. Orbital, I feel like, would be more beneficial. Maybe if it was a 4th, that would be a good idea. Scans to see if there's any observers you can pick off. Important thing to note is that there is no Robo Bay down, so there are not Colossi. Which means that he is not going to be able to as effectively deal with these. We're going to see if he can get off some EMPs before the engagement happens. It does look like he's going to attempt to snipe with the High Templar. Great EMPs coming down, as you can see, so many shields taken away completely, and with force fields not allowing these zealots to engage, that is very, very costly maneuver. Snipes going down again, but he does lose almost all of his ghosts. That is no good. Those are some extremely expensive units, but he does stem a small bit of bio up here to pick off his High Templar, and he does in fact get 1 and 2. So great play so far out of Hardwell, our Terran player. Trying to micro back, but these force fields are decent enough. Could have been a little bit more effective. As we can see, there is a gap on both sides. No storm available, and that is mighty unfortunate. More zealots coming out, as they do have legs. They are able to deal with kiting bio very effectively. A little bit too quick of a stutter step from the Terran. It's actually turning around before they can even get an initial volley off. And well, that's not really how you would technically want to engage this army. It does look like both of these forces are going to be cleaned up, but reinforcements streaming across from our Terran player. He is really putting on the pressure here. So we can see he's now up 30 supply. He has ghosts with tons of EMP energy. They actually almost have 2 apiece. And with this stim up here, well as I don't believe any of these High Templar are almost so close to Storm, and they do now in fact have Storm. He does need to make sure that he is splitting this army, but you do see a huge EMP go down. Oh my gosh, money EMP on the High Templar, taking away their shields and energy. They're forced to be Archons, but will he land an EMP on the Archons as well? That would be even more clutch than the High Templar. We do see one snipe coming down as well, and it does look like these are finally going to be cleaned up with the charge lots. But at what cost? He's down 30 supply. We see a small medvac drop going down in the main as well. This is very cute from Hardwell. Fourth has been established behind this, and he has pretty much negated the third from our Protoss player. And as we can see from the income tab, he is quite heavily favored in both gas and minerals. +1 ship weapons coming down as well. More than likely expecting a Colossi switch. Should have occurred by now, but the economy has been disrupted quite a few times so far, and it just really has not enabled Orc to get up the robotics bay and thus Colossi to deal with this. Finally now at the 21-minute mark with his first Colossus being produced, and typically you can see these as early as like 10 minutes. And yeah, really not a good place for Orc at the moment. Hardwell is really matching him in upgrades. You have cloaking coming down for the ghosts. He's getting air weapons for his Vikings to deal with the Colossi when they are out. Scans for the observer. Great little play. He's ahead an entire base. It has been for most of the game. Oh, I got excited. I thought that was going to be a nuke. That would have been so cool to see. Nukes, something even positionally not used as much as I would have thought originally watching as much of the beta as I did. Does look like Hardwell is going to go for a multi-pronged aggression here. Just going to be dropping all over the place. No, in fact, decides he doesn't want to drop. Just going to be dropping probably over here. You can even actually, if you can sneak the medvac up here and drop right here, this is such a nice little place to drop at. Fifth coming down for Hardwell, as well as the fourth from Orc. 3-3 on the way, as well as... Wait a second. +1 ground weapons is just now being started. Not sure why Orc decided to do this. I thought he had in fact been matching them, but no. He has just been researching armor. Very unfortunate. Does need to try and land some EMPs here before all of these ghosts die off, and it does not look like he's going to have the chance to. As you can see, ghosts are also not able to stun, which I find very weird considering that they are Spec Ops units. Great little bit of kiting coming out here. With the lack of anti-air, you can just pick up these medvacs and get out of here. We do see these cloaked ghosts are going to be killing a ton of probes. It is no good for Hardwell. He is already behind in economy, and this one lone Marine, even with barely surviving with 2 hit points, killing off so many probes. Take a look at the workers lost tabs now. Workers killed 83. Good lord. That is a number that will lose you every single game you ever play StarCraft in. Another harassment, and really just great play coming out of Hardwell. Multi-pronged aggression all over the place. This fourth is probably going to go down to just a couple of units. That is very unfortunate. He's just stretching our Protoss player Orc so thin, and now even more targeting down the gas to limit any sort of high-tech units, and tries to get out of there, but no. The sucker does in fact kill it off. Is he going to be able to get this Nexus? That would be almost hilarious. And no, he will not, but does do quite a lot of damage, so if he has to come back here and try and clean it up, That could be a very good possibility. Would like to see him maybe use some chrono boost just to regenerate this 1,000 shields really quick. Not a huge army out of Hardwell, but a very cost-effective one with these Vikings, as well as these couple medvacs with a ridiculous amount of energy but no hit points. Should probably get an SCV to repair that. And yes, a nuke is coming down. Where are you? Yes, this is what I have been waiting for quite some time now. A nuclear missile. We shall see. Is he going to land it, or is he just going to either whiff or use it for a positional type of strategy where, say, you could actually throw down a nuke right here, then hop up into the third and the natural if the army is over here, and that way they have to come all the way around to get to where your army is attacking, and that can be very, very, very strong. Basically, at that point, you can just throw away your army because you actually do so much damage. By the time they would do a counter push, you already have an entire army reinforcing. Pretty handily amount of Vikings out on the field, 11 in total. And with only 2 Colossi, this is not going to be good. Those are going to fall super quickly. But a lot of Archons in charge lots. And even with Concussive Shell and Stim, I do not know that he's going to be able to kite that many. Great storm coming down here. Very good awareness. Pretty good EMP, but he should use quite a few more. +3 ship weapons coming down as well, and that means that these are just going to tear through this poor Colossi. We did see a second Robo-Bay come down just a few minutes ago, but nothing being utilized just yet. Nuke being called down just as a positional thing again, as I kind of stated earlier. Looks like he's going to try and bait in his army. Is he going to get the nuke? Oh my god. Yes! And a great nuke baits him out so well, and as we can see, the ovation from Hardwell. He does take out the Nexus, in fact, and that was what I was talking about. That Nexus was so low earlier from the damage just from that Marine and Marauder, and now it is to the tipping point where the favors are, in fact, hugely in Hardwell's favor. This is an extremely ridiculously good game. Would love to see a stop EMP, but yes, he does land a couple EMPs. Even more going down, and that looks like it is going to be all she wrote for our protoss player. But no, in fact, taking this engagement quite handily, and that is the curse of the commentator. Calling things too early, you're always going to be wrong. But now with a 6th base established by Hardwell, and, well, the 3rd is running out of minerals, as we can see, and the natural is almost dry. Orc is going to have one last push, and that's pretty much going to be all that he's going to be able to afford. As we can see, he is broke, absolutely broke, has no bank, while the Terran player is making 1,000, has a semi-decent army, but planetaries going up everywhere. SCVs, in fact, being transferred, but he does need to add on probably just a couple more production facilities. Has a decent amount. Good amount of Marauders coming out. That what seemed to be halting up a lot of the production, as those cannot be double produced. 5 Marauders at a time, in fact, and those trade very, very, very well against Archons and Charger Lots, at least compared to Marines. Marines have a little bit less health, so we can see 55 to 125, and with the concussive shell on the Marauders, it really allows them to just kite the hell out of these poor charged zealots. And no, thought we were going to see a huge engagement there, but in fact Hardwell does just back off. Probably going to wait till he is maxed, and he is now going to be right around 40 supply ahead of his Protoss counterpart before this engagement happens. 2 more Ghost Academies coming down, and where are they? Well, I have no idea. Oh, there they are. Right in the natural. Who'd have thought? along with 2 more nukes. Man, can I not wait until HOTS is out, when you can just click on the nukes and find out exactly where they are. Anyways, another engagement does look like it's about to occur. And is he going to be able to snipe off this Colossus? Oh my gosh, so much damage, and it almost falls in 2 volleys. And look at the damage, absolutely ridiculous. Great kiting coming out of our Terran player. He's now almost 50 supply, and the supply is just plummeting from Orc. Some great EMPs going down. He is so far ahead now. Great little storm though, very cost effective there. But Hardwell just has so much. This 4th base is just now up again, and he's even sitting a little bit over there, going to be nuking it at the same time to just see if he can do a bunch of damage. And if he loses a bunch more probes, I don't even know if the unit's lost tab is going to be able to factor this in. He does kill quite a few more probes. 108 in total, and Hardwell is putting on a freaking clinic right now. Even getting the steel frames. He just doesn't have anything else to upgrade, doesn't have anything else to spend his money on, so says, hell, I'll even get building armor. That way, if you try to engage these planetaries, guess what? They're gonna have a total, oh lord, total of, I believe, 6 or 7 armor. That actually puts him on equal footing or above Ultralisks, but not as good as Larva, with a grand total of 10 armor. It's kind of silly almost if you think about it, but that is why Fungal and Storm are actually so effective against Larva, and that sounds kind of silly. Why would you waste that? But against a Zerg player, if you can limit their Larva, you can limit their production, as it is technically kind of a resource for them. But anyways, we'll stop talking about Zerg. Watch the last possible engagement in this game. Hardwell at 200 of 200 versus Orcs 134 out of 186. And now he has a couple of nukes ready as well. 3 in fact. And would love to just see him drop like nuke, nuke, and then engage. So he just can't go anywhere. In fact, we do see one nuke coming down. Is he going to bait this army? Oh my god, no, the army's walking right over top of it. Okay. That was about to be terrible. I almost got, well, quite frightened for Orc. This poor tree being burnt never did anything to anyone. Look at these medvacs just healing everything up. Another nuke coming down in the natural as well as the 4th. And is he going to be able to land this? No, but it does look like he's going to kill off quite a few more pylons and probes. Oh lord. Stemming off into the 3rd Orc, just getting picked apart here. And now he can just engage these units on a choke point. He can just throw down EMPs and completely demolish this force. Great stutter step micro, making sure that he's engaging on a ramps with these zealots. Cannot in fact get a surround. Just coming up in here, picking off all sorts of tech. Great EMPs hitting most of the units down on the low ground as well. He is slowly tearing through this protoss forces. We can see 90 supply versus 152. He is reinforcing like absolute crazy. Great storms though. I must say, Orc has been on top of his game when it comes to storm. Just destroying these units so effectively. Taking out 3 more medvacs there, but it is just not going to be enough. He does in fact lose even more units. And, oh jeez, with a 5,000 mineral bank as well as 1,000 gas, Hardwell can pretty much just hold down his A button and let the Marines flow from that poor barracks. We do see another nuke coming down. Would like to see it possibly positioned on the Nexus to make the dot harder to see. Is he going to land it? No, it was just barely cancelled. Great play though from Orc, realizing with this observer that it was in fact there. And we do see another Bioforce just flooding out And Hardwell really showing his stuff here today, showing that, yes, even though you have Colossus out on the field, if you have enough Vikings, good positioning, multi-prong, drop harass, you can pick apart any protoss, whether it be early or late game. As we can see, this game is going into the 41-minute mark here soon. It does look like he is in fact going to try to... Oh my gosh, this is beautiful positioning out of Hardwell. Just using everything to his advantage in this game. And these probes are not going to be able to mine again for just a little bit of time, but Orc cannot afford to lose any mining time at this point. And just going to keep harassing. In fact, placing it down on the mineral lines, and I'm not sure that Orc is even aware of this, trying to figure out probably where is this nuke going down, and he does finally see it at the last second. That would have been bad. That would have sent our workers killed up over 140. It is already at 125, and Hardwell with absolute immaculate play. Work, gotta give it to him though. Still trying to stay in there. Even after 41 minutes of being battered down by his Terran counterpart. And are these probes going to get pulled? Yes, they do again. We do see a very large stem here. EMPs going down so well. None of these units have shields anymore. And this has just been an absolutely fascinating game to watch. Casts have been so good from both sides. EMPs, storms are just money. Now with the double nuke, he's even pulling the probes to try and engage these units, and then realizes finally that the nukes are in fact going down. This is going to be a pretty big waste. We'll be surprised if these ghosts don't in fact take damage, and one does die. All I can say is about time. Very cool needle steel frame bunkers. Well played from Orc. And he does realize he just doesn't have the supply. He's down 100 supply. Most of his army was in fact probes, which, well, is never good. Well, that was an exhausting game to cast. Thank you guys for watching, though. That was a pretty good show out of Hardwell. Two great players going at it for 43.5 minutes. Could not ask for a better action of a TVP. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to leave any sort of comments or feedback. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. And we will see you soon with another cast. Thanks for watching.